All right, so I'm back with another tier list for you guys, and today we're going to be going over all the backpacks, the sentries, and the minefields, and ranking them against the bugs. Let's get into it. All right, starting off with the crowd favorite, the jump pack. So this thing is just well-roundedly good against all the factions, and against the bugs, it's very good because it's going to allow you to escape a lot of things that you normally wouldn't. You can jump over chargers. Hell, you can even jump over bile titans if you get good with it. And in general, it's just great for getting yourself out of bad situations, and I use it quite a bit. As well as it is good for jumping in, doing some damage real quick, and then running away, or just getting in, doing some damage, and then jumping out. It's just great for maneuverability on the battlefield. So it's just a really solid backpack overall. So I know a lot of people are probably going to rank this in S tier because it kind of teeters between S and A tier depending on the build. But I'm going to rank it a solid A+ tier because I feel like there's some other backpacks personally that I use over the jump pack. But in my opinion, if you don't know which backpack to run the jump pack because it's just going to give you some extra mobility, and it's an absolutely fantastic backpack to run in the game against any of the factions, especially the bugs. All right, so the B1 supply pack is really self-explanatory. You get 4 bricks of ammo. Basically, you have a mini resupply on your back at all times. You can not only use this for yourself, but you can use it for your teammates. It is so clutch in so many situations that every time I run this, I'm so glad I did. Every time my teammates run this and they're actually using it well, I'm so glad they did. It feels like one of those backpacks that when you don't have it, you do miss it, especially with some of the more ammo hungry weapons, or even the thermite grenades if you want to run that as a primary build, but you don't want to run the engineer armor. You can actually run this to replenish your grenades. It's just an overall fantastic backpack in the game. So I'm going to rank it in immediate S tier. Honestly, it's one of the higher end S tiers in my opinion, because it's just, again, I'm never mad when somebody runs this, and it's just something I always think about I wish I had when I am not running it. So it's an absolutely fantastic backpack stratagem. Next up is the guard dog laser, which is by far the most chaotic thing in the game, because not only is this thing hungry to destroy the Terminid forces, but it is also very hungry to kill you and your teammates. So a lot of teammates do hate people that run these because it's just flying around killing everything in its vicinity because it has the unlimited ammo and various things like that. But for all of its shortcomings there, I think this is one of my favorite things to use against the Terminator forces in general. I am not gonna rank it an S tier just because I feel like it is a bit of a team killing machine, but in general, I do love running this thing, and it is something personally in my builds that I feel like is crutch. It's just like the B1 supply pack where I'm like, man, I wish I freaking had this thing on because it would kill all the enemies that are trying to charge me. It is incredible for dealing with the cannon fodder and even a lot of the medium armored units in the game. So I'm gonna actually rank it personally ahead of the jump pack just because I feel like it's something that I wish I had more than I do the jump pack in a lot of ways. But it's just an absolutely goated backpack against the Terminid forces. Next up for the regular guard dog, this thing has grown on me so much over the more recent patches because they've done nothing but make this thing better and better and better. It has medium armor penetration. It has a really good ammo economy. It's going to prioritize shooting the weak spots of the enemies. This thing is absolutely freaking fantastic against any enemy in the game. I'm not going to rank it as high as the guard dog laser because I don't love the fact it needs to reload, because with the laser it doesn't need to reload, and it does consistent damage, set things on fire, things of that nature. With this, it does a crap ton of damage. And if you manage the ammo economy with ammo bricks, and you can actually reload this thing yourself now, it can stay up for quite a while. But again, I just kind of like to let this thing do its thing. But compared to the other factions, I'm going to rank it on the lower end of the A tier. It's good, but I feel like I always want the laser more than I do the regular guard dog at times. So it's definitely good, but I'm definitely going to rank it below the backpack and the guard dog laser for now. So for the ballistic shield, I have a love-hate relationship with this thing because I want to feel like a Spartan so freaking bad. It is really cool. You hold it up, you're like stabbing through it with the stun lance now. Man, this thing is just begging for some better utility, but it just doesn't stop melee damage as well as it should. In a lot of cases, it gets broken, which is annoying, and then you're out of stratagem. And then in other cases, you take more damage, you ragdoll into walls. I don't know, I just don't like it. I wish you had some more like fortified like damage so that way you could take a hit and actually just keep going, right? I don't know, the ballistic shield is just not great against the Terminids overall, and it's just not a great backpack right now in general. So I'm going to definitely rank it in the lower part of the list and rank it at D tier because it needs some work. If it really does a lot better damage at blocking the melee damage and just makes you feel more tanky, I'm gonna love using this thing, especially with heavy armor, but for now, it's definitely the worst option in all the backpacks for now. All right, so the shield backpack was probably the most clutch thing at the beginning of the game. Nobody didn't run this against the automatons, and a lot of people ran it against the bugs, even though it wasn't working properly. Now it's working properly. It can deflect melee damage pretty consistently. It's still got some issues with the feet and stuff like that, with spewer enemies and stuff like that, but it's gonna give you a lot more protection than it did previously. Now, this thing is just overall just solid. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I don't run this a lot just because there's a lot of better options in the backpack slot, in my opinion. But I feel like it's a solid A tier option. I'm actually gonna rank it just below the guard dogs and the jump pack because, again, you're not gonna go wrong using this. I've seen a lot of people, like Pips and other people running this in their melee builds, and it's absolutely fantastic there. And you're not gonna go wrong running this. But again, like, I feel like once you kind of get the hang of the game, you kind of want to use other things. And this is one of those things where I feel like it's really, really good, but there's just other things at this current time that are just a little bit more priority. Like, I want the supply pack way more than I want this. So I'm definitely going to rank it on the lower end of the A tier for me. All right, for the guard dog breath, try saying that 20 times fast. It's not very good. Let's just call it what it is. So gas works really well with the grenades and also the gas strike, but in terms of the sterilizer and the backpack, it's not very good because I feel like that these should be causing damage. Now, I'm not sure what the fix is for this because the guard dog is supposed to stay near you. So one thing that I thought of is to make it fly away from you and do some damage to the enemies kind of on its own. Maybe that might help. Maybe just giving it a much larger range would help. But in general, it just feels like that the enemies are very close to you and still hitting you when this thing is actually doing its thing. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right, but in terms of the best use cases, it's probably best used against the bugs, just because the bugs are really susceptible to gas, more specifically, because they seem to lose a lot more control when you're using gas on them. So I would rank it a C tier. It's definitely usable against the bugs, but it's not my favorite backpack to bring in by any means. All right, so the Directional Shield is brand new to the game. This just got introduced with the most recent War Bond, the Urban Legends War Bond. This thing is really fun to use. It's basically a better version of the Ballistic backpack, meaning that it does do the same things as the Shield backpack, which is great. So I do like it overall for that. I'm gonna go ahead and rank it a B tier, just because I do like it, but I don't like it quite as much as the Shield backpack, because I feel like the Shield backpack just gives you more versatility. Now, it is great if you pair things like the crossbow, you pair things like the stun lance or anything like that that's a one-handed weapon. It's really good against that if you want to do that. But even still, I feel like in that case, if you're going to do that, the shield backpack is going to be better because it gives you overall a lot of protection around your whole body. This gives you protection from the front. Now, this is going to be great against enemies that are shooting at you more than it is against the bugs, in my opinion. So I'm going to rank it a B tier just because I would rather bring the shield backpack personally at this time over this. All right, so jumping into the sentries and the stationaries. So starting off with the shield generator, the big bubble that you can drop onto the map. This is not very good against the bugs because they just run in and just blow it up, so it doesn't do anything. It can protect you from the acid, from the bile titans and things like that, but this is so niche. It's such a rare situation for you to use this thing against the bugs. I'm gonna rank it a D tier. Probably above the shield backpack right now, but yeah, it's just not really usable against the bugs in my opinion because there's no like situations that really work well, because like I said, just run in and destroy it. All right, so for the Tesla Tower, I'm really conflicted on this one because against the bots, I think it's better, and against the Illuminant, I think it's better, but against the bugs, it's kind of tough because a lot of the enemies charge at it and destroy it, specifically chargers and bile titans and things like that. So placing this thing is key. You have to place it in a prime position so that way it doesn't get destroyed by the units, but this thing will absolutely eviscerate the majority of the bugs on the map, which is great. And it has such an amazing cooldown, and it does have really good health, all things considering. But again, it's just tough because I like it, and it's very good because the cooldown is much better than it was when the game launched. So it's kind of here or there for me. I'm gonna rank it an A tier at an A minus, just because I can't rank it in the B tier because I feel like it's better than a lot of other things. But at the same time, like, I wish it attacked a little faster. That's one of the biggest gripes for me, is that I want it to attack just a hair faster. It doesn't have to be like a super speed machine, but please just attack a little bit faster and defend yourself better, because it dies a lot when you don't place it very well or you get unlucky. So yeah, I'm gonna rank it an A minus for now. All right, so the HMG Emplacement has come a long way since the beginning of the game. It was borderline unusable when the game started, and now it is one of the best emplacements, actually one of the best like Sentry type stratagems in the game just because it does so much freaking damage. It has the heavy armor penetration. It's going to absolutely eviscerate the majority of the bug army. Now, the downside to this thing is that it doesn't penetrate through the charger armor and things like that, so that is quite annoying, and it doesn't penetrate through the Bio Titans, obviously, so there is that. But I mean, at the same time, it's gonna be really effective if you position it well. You get on top of a hill or something and you're shooting down at the enemies. It's gonna absolutely eviscerate many things. So I'm gonna rank it actually above the 2 backpacks, the guard dog and the shield generator, and I'm going to rank it above Tesla. It's definitely an A tier. It's absolutely fantastic against the bugs. It's going to do a ton of damage. You're not going to regret bringing this thing if you get good with it. The key thing is that you got to get good with it. You got to place it well. You got to put yourself in a prime position to be able to just shoot down on the bugs or really do a lot of damage to them. It's very good at many of the different game modes that we have in the game. Next up is the newest anti-tank emplacement. This thing is absolutely a machine at killing everything in the game. It is so good at killing so many of the freaking elite enemies in the game, especially the Bio Titans and all the charger variants. This thing will one-shot a lot of things. It will two-shot at the very most. This thing is absolutely freaking incredible, and I'm definitely gonna rank it in the same spot as the HMG, just above it though. In terms of like a 1-2 combo, you want to run both of these, go for it. Or if you want to run sentries and the anti-tank emplacement, go for it, because this thing is going to be able to destroy so many freaking enemies on the battlefield. I love using this thing. It is absolutely a blast when you're facing the bugs. All right, so for the flame sentry, I want to love this thing so much because fire is so effective against the bugs, but the problem is that this thing kills itself, which became abundantly clear to me after I started using this thing a bit, because what happens is the bugs, if they get too close to it, it'll start shooting the ground, set itself on fire, and blow up before it really maximizes its full potential against the bugs. Now, if it didn't do that and it was flame retardant, I think this thing would be absolutely S tier against the bugs, but in its current state, it needs some work. But I'm not quite willing to just discount it. It's definitely a lot better than some of the other things you can bring in. I'm gonna put it at a B- right now. I can't rank it as C tier because I don't put it at the same level as a dog breath, but at the same time, if this thing becomes flame retardant, which I'm hoping it does, it will immediately boost up in the tiers for me. But for now, I'm gonna rank it at B tier because it does have some great potential if you place it well. So just keep that in mind when you're using this thing. It will kill itself a fair amount, unfortunately. All right, the mortar sentries are great on the big defense missions, and they're great against a lot of the other enemies in the game. But against the bugs, I don't love them, so I'm gonna rank both of them right here. They're good, and they can do some good damage, but the EMS is more usable, so I'm gonna rank that higher against the bugs. But the mortar sentry, it just feels like it gets destroyed before it can really do anything, and both of them really do. But the EMS, if you just throw it way the hell away, if you have servo assisted, for example, it will do some things, but it's not really going to benefit you that much because they're kind of shooting wherever. Now you can get the ship upgrade where you target them, but this is kind of finicky and doesn't always work in my opinion, which is annoying. But yeah, they're not really great against the bugs, so I'm going to rank them a high C tier. So the rocket sentry is another stratagem that has come a long way since the beginning of the game. It used to be decent, and then it became okay, but it unloaded its freaking arsenal too quickly. They lowered the RPM of this thing, and now it's very ammo efficient and one of the best sentries in the game. It's an immediate S tier against the bugs, primarily because it will do so much damage and really prioritize the biggest units a lot of times, which I absolutely love. You put this in a prime position on a hill, or you really place it well, this thing is going to absolutely eradicate the bug forces. It's going to kill Bio Titans really quickly. It's going to kill chargers insanely fast. This thing is a great tool, and the cooldown is very nice as well. So if you place this very well, you're not going to regret bringing this thing in, because it's probably, in my opinion, the best sentry in the game when you're facing the bugs. All right, so next up is the autocannon sentry. I absolutely love autocannons in this game. It's one of my favorite things to use, and then the autocannon sentry is no different. It's an absolutely fantastic sentry to use against the bugs. It gives you the extra punch you need. It's great against chargers. It's great against Bio Titans. It will do some good damage. I'm going to rank it above the HMG emplacement just because I feel like it's a little bit better than that, but it's not quite as good as the anti-tank emplacement. But it's a very good A tier option in terms of things to bring in against the bugs. So the Gatling sentry is very similar, where it's very good. It does unload its ammo a little bit faster than I would like. So it's not my favorite of all the sentries to use, but it is still an A tier option in my opinion against the bugs. It's very good because it's going to absolutely eviscerate many of the bugs before they even get close. So it's very good if you want to pair that with the rocket sentry or the autocannon sentry. Very good 1-2 combo, because this is going to protect those two sentries while they do their work. I'm going to rank it I'm gonna rank it actually below the, gonna rank it below the shield backpack because I don't think it's quite that good, but it's really solid A-tier stratagem to bring in my opinion. All right, it's little brother, but honestly the better version in my opinion is the machine gun sentry. I love the pace of this thing because yes, it is a little bit slower, but if you pair this very well with another sentry like the autocannon or the rocket sentry, this is going to be able to protect them, doing a lot of good damage at medium arm penetration, and it's not going to blow its load so quick like the Gatling sentry, but it is very, very good in my opinion. I'm going to rank the machine gun sentry. Actually, I'm going to rank it above the Gatling sentry. Now, it is not fantastic. It can get destroyed very easily, but again, if you pair this with another sentry, it's going to work very well, and positioning is key. It's a very, very good sentry overall for the game, so yeah, it's a decent option overall. All right, jumping into the minefields, I personally don't use these a lot unless it's one of the big defense missions, but in general, if you want to bring these into a mission, you can, but I feel like they cause more problems than they're really worth because you'll be killing your teammates. But anyway, starting off with the anti-personal minefield, I'm gonna rank this a D tier. It's not great, but it's more usable than the other ones, but it's not great. It's outshined by the Incendiary and all the other options, so I'm gonna rank it immediately a D tier because it doesn't feel like it's that great. Now, I feel like the cooldown is lower. I'm not sure. I didn't look into that, but it's not my favorite thing to use. The other options are way better. The Incendiary is definitely more usable. I'm gonna rank it here, actually above the Mortar. So I'm gonna rank it a C tier. It's definitely more usable because at least it sets the ground on fire and is a really decent damage over time type effect. But again, the bugs kind of miss it sometimes, and it kind of defeats the purpose. It needs to have like a wider arming mechanism, even though yes, I know they're mines and they're supposed to step on them. I don't know, but it needs something to make them trigger more often. Anti-tank is the same. I'm gonna rank that below the Incendiary because it is a lot stronger and will do a good amount of damage to chargers if they hit multiple of them, so it's very nice for that. But it's not going to do damage against Bile Titans, and the cannon fodder, this is kind of overkill, but it's definitely better than the base mines. But yeah, it's okay overall, but it's not the greatest thing. So we do have the gas minefield in the database, and we did get it for a very short time, and it was very fun to use. I actually liked it against the bugs because gas in general is better against the bugs. I'm going to rank it a B tier. It's definitely better than the Flame Sentry right now. This thing is just really good, and I want to actually test it a little bit more, but the very little bit that I used it, I actually did enjoy it against the bugs, and it felt like it provided a lot of good utility because the gas cloud was pretty respectably large for what it was and was causing chaos like it normally does. So yeah, I actually did like these, and I can't wait to try them a little bit more. Alrighty, so that's my full tier list of all the sentries, the backpacks, and the minefields in Helldivers 2 against the bugs. S tier are things that I will bring in all the time. They're absolutely fantastic options. You're never going to go wrong with them. A tier are just absolutely great options that you can interchange and mix things up quite a bit. And you're not going to go wrong bringing these in either. B tier is things that I'm kind of like, they're good, but they're things either I haven't tried yet with the gas mines, or things that I'm kind of like, I think they need some work overall, be a little bit better. C tier are things that are just not very usable overall, and I wouldn't bring them in at all. And then D tier are just things that need a lot of work and are not usable against the bugs in certain situations, but that's it. Let me know what you guys think about my list down below, and give me your full list of how you would rank these stratagems against the bugs in Helldivers 2. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.